Hey, nerds. This is the Spirited Nerds podcast, the podcast where we sip some alcoholic beverages, we talk nerdy shit, and we just have fun. We are kicking off spooky season with a little early, and that's due to me. And Mariah's rolling her eyes, but that's due to me.
No,
So
no,
we're gonna
no.
kick off
Disneyland
spooky.
started spooky season, so I think everyone can go ahead and start spooky season.
Yes. If the mouse celebrates, we all can celebrate. So, uh, we're kicking off spooky season with Constantine. But before we kick off a spooky season, we're going to kick off the way we normally do with what we're drinking. So, Mariah, do you want to kick us off with what you're drinking?
Yep. So I got these vanilla latte rebel hard coffees this weekend. They're actually super tasty. Like they taste better than a Buzz Ball, but it's only 5% versus like the 15 of the Buzz Balls, so it doesn't like completely get you hammered. But they're
That
tasty. They're really
sounds
good.
so good.
And I
I was
think
going
this
to say
Rebel
tastes
brand
better
has
than a
other
buzz
mixed
ball. That
drinks
seems like
too.
a low bar.
Hmm?
Tasting better than a low ball, a buzz ball seems like a low bar.
Oh, it's low. Like those don't taste good at all. But these ones are good. 5% alcohol, so
Okay.
All right.
hopefully the caffeine doesn't keep me up at night. We'll see.
All right. David, what you
Okay.
got?
So, I went simple. I'm just drinking white Hennessy. I heard last time Mariah said she didn't like it, and so this is kind of a spike drink for me. But I didn't have much because I mean, Dad brought that bottle back and we split it.
Yeah.
So as my backup, depending on how long this runs and how much shit I talk about Constantine, I also have
Come on, man.
so, some bare knuckle from KO Distillery. It's a
Okay.
local distillery from Manassas, and it is a um whiskey that is pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know you heard what Mariah said about White Hennessy, but I wish you could have seen the looks on her face as she just
Oh, I
Yeah,
did.
I,
I watched it.
it
uh,
was
Yeah.
it
I
was
was
bad.
Barf.
like saying she didn't like it. It was the like visceral reactions to the idea of it. I was
Was not a fan.
No,
not a
Visibly not
fan.
a fan.
not good.
All right. Well, this week I am drinking, or I'm trying out for the first time and probably the only time, a hard Mountain Dew.
Oh
As I
Oh,
was
God.
walking
How is
through
that?
Target, it caught my eye, and I said, in Constantine, where he was sitting in water, and water was his lubrication between earth and hell. I
Uh-huh.
feel like this would be my lubrication that would slide my soul down into hell and back. Of
uh,
course, Dr. Pepper would be the thing that would send me to heaven, but I feel like this will send me to hell.
Yeah,
It
Mountain
tastes
Dew will
like it
definitely
too.
send you to hell.
Yeah, it will.
yeah.
So, in case that goes really bad, as a backup, I have the Atomic Citrus Blood Orange Ale from New Belgium Brewery. So,
Oh, so you haven't tried the Mountain Dew yet?
I had
Can we get a
one quick sip,
Yeah,
Can we get
you
a
can we
gotta
get the
have to
sip
do
Nah,
it.
reaction
yeah,
right now? Take a
yeah.
sip.
I
Yeah.
don't know if
Let
you
us
can see the
know.
color on this thing. This is
Nasty.
That looks like
this
a
is a scary color. This looks like atomic green, like
it
toxic
looks like a
waste.
glass of
Mhm.
dirty water.
Yeah.
It does, and it has no sugar in it, which Mountain Dew is famously has loads
Yeah,
of
a
sugar.
lot.
Tons of sugar.
Um, I don't know if I'll finish the entire can because I
Mm.
can get the no sugar aftertaste. You know what I mean? Like you
Oh
get
yeah.
mango,
Oh,
I get that
Yeah.
Mhm.
aftertaste.
that like chemically.
Um, I tried.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
I
You did
tried.
it.
So we'll see how far I get with this one. So
All right.
Much like this movie, you made a bad decision and you followed it through. So,
hey,
Shauna, what are you drinking?
Shauna, let's go.
So I guess it's like social media official. So I have been pregnant, and so I have not been partaking on the podcast, which is very sad for me. Um, but I wanted to join the bandwagon of like trying to have like a kind of a nicer or like a more creative drink. So I got some like non-alcoholic botanicals. And so tonight I'm drinking Wilderton non-alcoholic botanical spirit. So if anybody is, trying to mix it up with mocktails. I'm going to try this for you. It's a bittersweet aperitivo, and I know I said that wrong, but I just took a little bit of that, and I've got a little bit of my Kirkland signature seltzer water, and I chose grapefruit, and I don't know if this is going to be too much grapefruit, but I'm going to try it live for you right now. We'll see how this goes. Not bad. A little too much bittersweet orange for me, so I might use less next time, or maybe a citrus, a different citrus. We'll see.
I was about to say, well, there will be a next time, but that was a pretty big bottle, so I feel like there needs to be a next time.
It's a big bottle, so I'll get creative. It came with like a couple of different recipes. One of them was actually just like orange juice, and I almost went that direction, but I thought, let's try the good old seltzers. But maybe a little splash with some orange juice would be a little bit better for me.
Okay.
I'll come back and I'll report back and let everybody know how it goes.
I'm going to officially put this Mountain Dew down. So,
thank you.
I got further than I thought I was.
Nothing good was coming from that.
In 3 minutes?
I got further than I thought.
Haven't even started talking about the episode yet.
Oh, the color alone, I was like, this is not going to end well.
That's fair.
You scanned it at Target, so you went further than I was going to go with it.
You know, it was only 2 flavors left. This regular one, and then whatever the orange one is. I really wanted to get the Baja Blast, but that was gone. So I was stuck with.
They would have got me with the Baja Blast. Yeah.
Yes.
I would have tried that.
I think they got everybody with it because it was gone. Like I said, that one was gone. What was left was some orange one, and then the regular that had 0 sugar in it. So I don't know. Okay, guys. Constantine. It's
2005. It is 2005.
Keanu was just coming off of the Matrix movies.
Mm-hmm.
Nicolas Cage turned down this role. Keanu said, "Sure, guys, I'll do it," and he picked up this role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the
facts.
movie is
These are all facts.
Trying to say, these things are words that are true.
These are true things. Yes.
So this movie is based off of the comic Hellblazer, in which there are some differences between the comic and the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very notably is just the appearance of Constantine himself, where in the comic he is blonde, brown trench coat, red tie, British accent. So we get a lot of the British isms or whatever you want to call it. In this movie, he was very dark haired, dark coat, dark personality, very monotone.
And in LA.
Oh yeah, and in LA. He was not in England.
The whole time.
The whole time in LA.
The whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
very different vibes.
There were some differences. And then Shauna, I know we'll get into it later, I think, or maybe we can talk about it now, whatever you want. But I know we've talked about this before with payoffs in the comic universe, right? Where you have this book or the story arc that you've loved for so long, you finally get to see it come into like some sort of live version, and then you're either immediately, up on a pedestal, you're high as a kite, or you're just like, WTF is this? I feel like a lot of fans, I don't know, I feel like I'm in the fans. I feel like I would have thought a lot of fans would have been like, what is this? But as I kind of look around on YouTube and just when I was reading articles, I feel like people liked it. Rotten Tomatoes says no, but I found a lot of people who were like diehard fans of this movie.
Were the articles, etc., that you're looking at from 2000?
No, that is the funny thing.
Okay.
They were like recently.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. So there might be like some kind of like nostalgia built into this, like a bit of a cult following of people picking it up.
I feel like there's a cult following with this movie.
Yeah. Because my literal top note from this is like, this is so 2005. So if you were just feeling a little bit nostalgic, or you just like movies from this era, this falls 100% in line with this movie is from 2005. Because I think I remember, so 2005, I feel like I remember there being like a lot of backlash. Number one, like you said, about Keanu being cast as John Constantine based on his appearance. A little bit like when Daniel Craig came in as Bond, and everyone was like blonde and freaked out. It had the same kind of vibe but reverse. And I also remember people in 2005 saying like, I don't like this movie. This is trash. I felt it was okay. I think that for me now, watching it back for the second time, now I'm like, oh, okay, this is my expectations of adaptations have shifted, I think. So at the time, superhero movies and comic book adaptations in 2005, they really didn't care too much about the source material, I think. I don't really remember that. Like, I remember a lot of times there was adaptations where it was like, this is loosely based on, because this is also in a period of time before the studios were the comic book houses, if I'm not mistaken. Like, they might be producing partners, but they weren't the owners of the studios. Right. So they were usually working in partnerships with other studios, so they had a little bit less creative control. So like in that sense, I was watching this and I was like, yeah, I just don't think they were that concerned about it being true to the source material, because it was 2005. So like, why would you need to be? So I don't know.
To your point, was I the only one who hadn't seen this movie before? This is the first watch for me. I was it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had all seen it. You had not.
Dang. Okay.
But I probably haven't seen it since 2005. In fact, watching it back, I realized I don't remember anything except the last act of that movie. Like the last 20 minutes, I was like, oh, I know this beat for beat, but like the rest of the movie, I just blacked out. I was like, what? Oh my god, Shia LaBeouf? What?
Yeah, I totally forgot he was in this movie. Yeah,
I was floored every time somebody that was so 2005 came on the screen. I was like, what? Rachel Weisz? Gavin Rossdale? Like, I was totally shocked.
Gavin Rossdale. I tell you, I don't know if this was the only thing he's ever acted in, but I did not expect to see his face when he came onto the screen.
I was blown back for a second, and then I was like, oh yeah, I remember this was a big deal that he was in it. But when it, like that first scene where it's like finger licking good, I was like, oh no, it was so bad. I might have derailed us already. I'm sorry.
No, I think we should just go ahead and jump into it. Unless anybody else has any comic book Constantine, why did they do this to the movie comments they have?
You said something earlier that I want to touch on real quick. You said this was an adaptation of Hellblazer. Yeah. And I need to make this clear because Hellblazer was an amazing. I mean, like, so.
Oh, David's hard. He's hurting.
It's complicated because Hellblazer is. I mean, that is basically Constantine's entire comic book run. So what this isn't Hellblazer in its totality. It is, I want to say, a 5-issue run called Dangerous Habit, which is where they pulled this from. So this isn't the entirety of Hellblazer. And even in that, this is the loosest definition of the word adaptation you could possibly use. And I think that's what Shauna was touching on before, because back then, I don't think Hollywood really knew how to do a superhero movie or a comic book movie. So they said, okay, here's the property. Like you see those videos on YouTube and Twitter where it's like Mario and Princess Peach and Sonic the Hedgehog, but then drill music comes on and they start twerking and shit. Like, yeah, like Mario's there, but he's not busting bricks. He's like popping on a handstand on your kid and like dirty whining and shit. That's what this was. This had nothing to do.
People in costumes.
Yeah, like you would expect. Like Mario's there, you expect him to do some Mario shit, and that's not what's happening, right? Constantine is here, but he's not. It's not the Constantine that you're expecting to pop up.
Correct.
And I think back in 2005, we were all excited because, oh, hey, Constantine's here. But Marvel kind of pushed that expectation out the window, saying, hey, look, if you're going to do an adaptation, you either got to pull it and make it so different that it's really good, or you got to stay true to the source. And they did neither.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I forgot where we were gonna go.
I mean, we were just gonna get right into it, but
Yeah.
I
No,
see
I
what
think
you're
that
saying.
sets
Go
the
ahead, Spanner.
stage though of those who haven't
Yeah.
seen it or those who have, like to know it's
Yes.
not. It's the same.
There
It's very
It's-
different.
Currently, there's an NFL game on right now. There are 2 black women playing tennis tonight.
There are.
I am sick. I just had a crown put in. My mouth hurts. I am here solely to hate on this movie. So I don't know where we're going next, but I'm gonna let y'all.
No, but thank you, David, for thank you, David, for being so specific about where this plot came from, because I could not find it, and
Yeah,
I think, and that's exactly what I was like getting at. Like this, they were like, "We'll take the name, we'll take the property, and then we'll write a movie," kind of thing
yes.
in 2005. Like we're coming off of things that. Yeah, they had the characters that were recognizable, the face, the name, but they really were writing movies. They weren't writing good adaptations then. They weren't really concerned about it, I think, at the time. And the studios had no pull to say otherwise.
And I'm gonna tell you at some point, I'm gonna tell you what the comic book run was actually about. And for the life of me, I don't know why they changed it. Because the comic book run, like this little 4 or 5 episode run, it's fucking amazing. Like, I mean, the story was great. I don't know why they changed it.
Okay. Well, I say we dive right in.
Yeah, get on there.
Okay, good. All right, so we start in Mexico. We are with Manuel and some other person. I cannot remember his name. I apologize, other actor. In that scene, Manuel does what I would not advise anybody do, and that is blindly stick his hand down into a hole, and he pulls out a Nazi flag that is holding the spear of destiny, which is the spear that speared Jesus in his side, because they said it's not the crucifixion that killed him, it was the spear that killed him. So he reached down in this hole, he pulls up the spear of destiny, he immediately becomes possessed and does the one thing that a possessed person would do in Mexico, and that is just start walking straight to LA. I got to go right to LA with this spear in my hand. And he's off.
Man, as soon as I saw that scene, that I wrote the Spear of Destiny verse 3, because as soon as he grabbed it and looked, I was like, oh, it's Gollum all over again. And this is exactly why Denise likes this movie. That very first
that's
Gollum comparison.
That's wonderful.
I was like, who put that note in here? I like this because I will be honest, I don't really like this movie. It's okay. I think I like that you, especially David, hates it. So I'm just being his, the opposite of, come on, it wasn't that bad. Only because he cannot stand it.
I thought
had an idea last Easter, to not really hide the eggs, but to make it fun for the kids. So we just kind of put them where anybody could find them.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently the Nazis had the same idea with the Spear of Destiny, because they put it somehow under an overpass.
Yes.
In Mexico, which,
well, it was in a church.
Sure, it was.
Was it?
There were ruins of a church. It was a church, because you could see the crosses and everything overhead, and you could see the floorboards. That's where he stuck his hand down into. They were digging around in a church, and they pulled it out. But I really do wish we could have spent more time on how did the Nazis get this spear, and how did it end up in Mexico? Church? Like,
you wanted to spend time on that?
A lot of just a little backstory. Like before that scene happened, they put the little text on the screen that to tell us about it. But I could have just seen like a little clip of like them hiding it or something, or I don't know.
That whole no one has seen this spear since World War II. I was like, why is that on the screen? And then when I saw the Nazi flag, I was like, okay, but why?
Yeah,
I don't know.
This was where I was immediately. This is where, like, this is so 2005 hit, because I was looking at like the orange overlay of like it's Mexico because it's orange. It was like, yep, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, you all know the part I hate, the part where he's walking through the desert and all of a sudden he's walking past some cows or whatever those things were. And as he's walking, they all just die.
But he somehow does get to the middle of like downtown LA, and that never happens again. Like all of LA does not
Yeah.
die as he walks into the city. I'm sorry, we've already derailed. Go ahead, Denise. So we now have the Spear of Destiny, and it's killing cattle.
And we have Manuel, who is making his way to LA. But we meet John Constantine, a cult detective, warlock, magician of dark magic. Um, he has been called to pull a demon out of a girl that is trying to make its way into Earth. And we'll find out later, but we realize that a demon should not be able to try to come into Earth this way. Like there is a pact, there is an agreement between heaven and hell that you stay where you're supposed to stay, we'll stay where we're supposed to stay. The halflings kind of hang out here, but true angels, true demons do not come to Earth. So we see an actual demon trying to come into Earth through this little girl. There are way too many people in this hallway being looky-loos for an exorcism of a demon. For me, I did not understand why there were so many people just casually trying to see that.
And also,
I
let's
don't
just
know.
make note that they zoom in on the cigarette twice. That's going to be important for later. So,
Yeah.
But also, this scene was a little bit wild because they couldn't turn a mirror. Like they couldn't just tilt the mirror to get it out the window. It was
Yeah.
very strange. So right again, it was just like from the gate. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
You
they could've
gotta
turned
make it look
diagonal
really
and
cool.
pushed
You
it out.
can't just like tilt it.
Gotta
What
make
is
it look
that?
really cool, really heavy.
What's that
'Cause I
Friends
think he
joke?
even says
Pivot.
he needs like a. What, I'm sorry.
Was that Friends joke? Like pivot, just like tilt it, and you're good.
I didn't know. And then he was like, "We need a mirror that's like 3 feet tall." And then they walk out the room and they walk past a mirror, which looked tall enough to me. But I guess they needed something really ornate, like you said, to make it look like there was a struggle of getting it out the
Yeah,
window because they walked right
100%.
past the mirror. What I thought, but it's interesting because again, if you reading the comics, which are very, very, very loosely based, David, uh,
Very. Yeah.
very loosely based. In the comics, he is cursed with these powers because he botches an exorcism with the young girl and actually sends her soul to hell, sends her to hell. So, in seeing this scene, you would kind of think, if you know, in Constantine, okay, here is the exorcism that he's going to botch. But no, we already meet him with his powers, and he is already John Constantine that we know from the comics, of which this is very, 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 very loosely based.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of
Did I do
changed the
that?
whole story though. But I mean, yeah. So in the movie, right? It's just that he just has them and he's always had them.
In the
Like since he
His
was,
powers?
like since he was a little boy, he could see demons and all sort of shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of psychically gifted, and then
Right.
they have this whole like, and again, this is very 2005 because now I feel like this would have come with a big trigger warning because there's a whole lot of like suicide talk in this movie.
In
It's
self-harm,
like
yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
whole theme and plot point. Like a lot of hinges on like a couple of suicides. So it is again like a product of its time. I feel like this would be handled very differently now. But yeah, he's a young kid that has like psychic abilities to kind of like hear demons and spirits, and he really goes through it. They really traumatize him trying to like tamper down his ability, and then he commits suicide. He dies by suicide to try to get himself out of this cycle of abuse. Oh, excuse me. And then that causes him to be doomed to go to hell within his religious doctrine. So then when he comes back to life, he decides he's just going to try to kill and send as many demons back to his way back into heaven. So that is the backstory here in the movie, which is
Yeah.
different than like we've talked about like in the comic book. He's kind of a family of like occult magic users. So he's grown up learning how to train and harness and kind of inherit this power and these responsibilities. So it's a very different dynamic. And this one, it's like I think they're both kind of framed as like a bit of a curse, but it is very strange that they changed the whole backstory because it wouldn't have been. I feel like they changed the whole backstory just to mirror the story of Rachel Weisz's character, Angela, and her twin sister. And like, I don't know if they are loosely based on comic book characters too, but like, I don't know why they needed to have all the same backstory.
I don't know.
It was
Yeah,
very strange.
They didn't make sense. I just didn't understand why we needed them.
Well, without
Like,
the change of backstory, you don't get the jump scare on the bus. So
Correct.
fuck
Yeah.
this movie, man. That was such a.
And imagine after all those things he's gone through, the cigarettes are killing him.
Denise, we jumped way off board. I'm sorry. Go.
No, you're fine. Because I mean, touching on it now means that when we get to certain parts, we can just be like, we've already gotten to this part, so that's fine. And then yes, Mariah, he does say, because I mean, next is him finding out that he is dying from lung cancer, and he does say, you know, of all the things that I've fought, it's this thing that's going to take me out. And we found it is very aggressive. He is dying from it. In fact, he probably only has months up to a year to live. So we know he doesn't have much time. Knowing he doesn't much time, he goes to Gabriel to try to get an extension of his life, basically saying, I'm not ready to go yet. And kind of knowing that once he gets to hell, a lot of people are there that are waiting to get his hands on him,
Yep.
and they're not going to make it pleasant for him. So he's trying to stay out and away from hell as long as he can to buy his way back to heaven, as Shauna said. And Gabriel basically tells him, I mean, dude, sorry, fuck you, you're doomed. Like, you've had your chance, and you're just a selfish prick, and you are doomed to hell. Also, Gabriel is Tilda.
Yeah.
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 Memory of that for sure.
David.
What do you want from me, man? I don't. Yeah, like. Yes, Gabriel is played by Tilda Swinton in this movie, and I love Tilda Swinton, and I am super sad that this was a choice.
Oh,
So
I'm not, because she looked amazing, and that haircut was perfect. She looked badass.
Yeah, she did.
she did, and at
Yeah.
the end of the movie, when her foot's on his neck, it did some stuff for me. But like past that,
Okay. Wow.
I mean,
Well, at least you had one bright spot in this movie, because it sounds like you didn't have many. So
yeah.
I will say this. One of the quote unquote bright spots of this movie, I actually like that it is cancer that's going to take him out, but we know that's from the comic book. So I like that touch of it. Like, yeah, you're fighting demons and you're battling the occult, and all these badass monsters are trying to attack you all the goddamn time, but you just all have cancer, and too bad. That's the humanity piece, and that is not a creation of the movie. So maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah.
maybe. David, your little looks off into the distance are gonna kill me every time.
I'm sorry, man. I'm here.
I know you're.
I'm here.
It's super funny. You're just like, yeah, and then you just look off into the distance. I'm like, oh.
I
geez.
feel like I felt the way Shauna did up until the last scene. So we'll get to that later, but
Okay, well,
the whole
right.
smoking cancer,
you're okay.
And see what's just real quick. What sucks about that is the smoking and the cancer thing was such an integral part of the story in the comic book. And here they just kind of, I'm not gonna say they trivialized, like they made it a sledgehammer. Where in the comic book it was part of the flow of the story, and it really tied everything together, beginning of this specific run to the end. Where in the movie they just beat you over the head with it. Like, God damn, we get it, man. Like he smokes and it's bad, and you know it's like there's a payoff at the end, but by the time you get there, it's like, fuck me, man. Like, how many times are you gonna show me the cigarette?
that's why it felt like an anti-smoking campaign. By the end, I was like, my God, like they show it. That's why I say they show it twice in that first scene. Like, why do we need 2 close-ups of the cigarette? And then we hear, about it, that he has cancer, and he pulls out another cigarette and smokes it. And it just like throughout, and then the end, we'll wait till we get to the end, because then it completely just, he doesn't have it and he chews gum. Like,
Yeah.
Fine, I won't smoke. Like, I don't know.
Keanu says it's not cool, so we're not gonna smoke. So we meet Angela, when we see Angela, she's having what we think is a dream of where she's seeing herself jump off of a roof and land into a pool, only to find out that it is her twin sister, Isabel, who has unfortunately passed. And she, at the same time, Gabriel and I'm about to call him that man, Keanu, John are having a discussion. She is begging for a priest to give her sister a Catholic funeral, in which we're finding out no, she cannot have one because unfortunately she took her own life.
Mm-hmm.
So too bad, so sad. The priest is telling her. So, but
Like
she is.
another.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
No,
I was
just
just gonna
because
say
she
like
is a staunch believer
yeah,
in that her sister did not kill herself.
yeah,
She thinks that she was murdered.
yeah. No, I was just saying, just it's just another character backstory that we're missing. It's like why these two? What's this combo of twins? Like why did we choose them? It just I just feel like it was just another hole in this movie. Like that I just didn't understand why we picked them. I wish there was like maybe a little bit more about them, maybe specifically something that might have happened in their past, which is why,
Oh, I see
the
what you mean.
devil's son chose her. I just it
Yeah.
just another thing that happened that I have questions about.
Can you
Like,
imagine you saying that? Just made me think. Like, what if they had taken the Olsen twins or somebody like that? That's what I was thinking. When you were like, "Why them?" I was like, "Who else would be?" I was like, "I wonder if the Olsen twins." But I don't know.
no, I was gonna say I think I'm with Mariah on this one too because it was just like, well, we just need like at the end of the, and we'll get there, but it was very much was vibes like, well, we just needed a really powerful psychic, and she was like, she met the power level that we needed, so great. And it just happens that she had a twin, so we had a backup or something. Like it was just like, I don't know, it really wasn't like they tried to have like this chosen one plot, but there wasn't a lot of reasoning behind why they were chosen,
Yeah,
and there was
exactly.
no. And if you're going to have a chosen one plot where you don't have a reason behind it, then they need to struggle with it, right? Like Constantine going and saying like, why me? Like there needs to be some kind of like coming to terms with. And Angela never really goes through that. Her whole driving uh character point here is to um like figure out what happened to her sister, but she finds out pretty early
Mhm.
on, and then she's kind of along for the ride and then gets kidnapped and
Yeah.
possessed.
Yeah.
2005, man, wild time.
I I don't know. It was this before or after the Mummy. Do you know when the Mummy came out? Because that's the girl from the Mummy, right?
It is, and I think she was
It
coming right
is.
off the Mummy.
Okay.
Let me double check that though. I feel like this movie, as I was watching it, I was like, they are just casting anybody who was in like.
The Mummy was 1999. So
So
Dang.
this is after, but she's probably done the Mummy 1 and
Yeah.
Mummy 2, and then she stepped out of the Mummy 3, which is the Mummy that I don't remember at all. So this is probably about the time that
Recast.
she was trying
yeah.
to. She's probably trying to step
Transition,
away
yeah.
from like being like, I'm from the Mummy, and like, look at me now,
Mhm.
I'm in a comic book adaptation, but this one also didn't really land.
Did
Well,
not.
she's watching security footage to try to figure out what happened to her
Oh,
sister.
wait,
Because
wait, 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 wait. Are we saying that the Mummy didn't land?
Oh no. The Mummy is
Three.
iconic.
Oh,
The
This
Mummy.
oh, okay. All right.
No, no,
Cool.
no. The Mummy 3. No. Rachel Weisz saw the Mummy 3 coming and went, no, thank you. No, I'm
Okay.
gonna step away from this before it becomes a train wreck. I'm gonna try this other thing, but the other thing was not the bet she thought it was.
It's a bigger train. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I said.
Okay.
Don't worry, David. I would never.
David came in hot.
All right.
I would never.
So Angela is watching security footage because she's like, my sister would not have killed herself, and she stops it at a point where her sister turns and looks at her in her face and says, Constantine. And then that very scary thing that always happens in movies, and I hate it, is all the phones in the house start ringing as she's sitting in complete silence trying to figure out what is happening.
That's so funny because that scene would not land now unless like everybody they had like multiple people in the room with multiple cell phones because like, she had so many phone lines.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2005.
phones in the house.
There's a lot of phones in the house. She had a landline, she had a fax line, she had her cell phone. There was a lot of phones in there.
Ugh. Too many phones.
Yeah.
Ugh. So John is out walking the streets doing. I guess he's smoking. Anytime we see him, we're just gonna assume he's smoking in this movie. So he's walking the streets and he gets attacked by a full-on demon. Again, not a half breed, a demon made of bugs. This demon basically told him, "You should have stayed over there and ate your food. I don't know why
Mm-hmm.
you're getting involved in this." To which he goes straight to Papa Midnight, says, "Look, this should not be happening. It should be impossible." Papa Midnight looks at him and says, "You're wrong. This would never happen." And yeah, we meet. I mean, we've already met him, but Baby Shia tells us that Papa Midnight's club is a haven for those who rise and those who fall. But as John is walking through it, it looks like it is strictly a haven for those who fall. It just looked like there was red
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. There was no monopoly, no parcheesi going on. It was just straight heathen activities in that club. So
Yep.
And if I'm saying his name wrong, somebody correct me. But is it Jimon Hunsu? Is Papa Midnight? Because that man, again,
Yeah.
he's in everything. He is like in every sci-fi, fantasy, all the things. And as soon as I heard him, I was like, this
Mhm.
man is a fucking like icon. He makes his way into every goddamn franchise. Like,
good for
I
him.
was good for
Yeah.
him. But again, 2005, because I was like, this is exactly when he would. Yeah, he was probably like, I don't know, when Gladiator was probably around this time too. So he probably was coming off Gladiator, and they were like, got to get that guy in here too. Just
And I don't
wanted
know
to
if this
shout
is
him out.
before, during, or after Kimura, but he was married to and had babies with a Kimura, so
Huh?
gotta have money for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so Papa at Midnight just kind of just confirms that yes, you better hope that demons aren't coming up this way, or that this cancer doesn't kill you, because the devil cannot wait to get his hands on you, and that will come back into play later.
Yeah.
Gwen's baby daddy, as we talked about, Gwen Stefani's baby daddy is a demon, a horrible one, a
Yes.
demon nonetheless that walks around in a pinstripe suit. Um,
Balthazar is the name, which
oh
led
yeah,
me to a belly laugh at one point. So I just want to make sure that we say his name.
why did I leave? Oh, the name did, or he did?
There's a couple of lines in this movie that made me like belly laugh, and at one point when there's like a scuffle between the two of them, he goes, "Okay, Bali," and I was like, "You just did what just what the fuck just happened? You just called this demon Bali?" Like, I'm so confused. And I was gonna kind of talk about this too, but like the tone of this movie, I never really caught on to. Like, what is this tone?
Yeah.
What are we trying to
don't
hit
know.
here
They
with
didn't
this
know.
with this
They-
weird like, okay, Bali, and then he like shoots him in the face. I was like, because his name's Balthazar? What is this? It was very
Yeah,
weird.
there was a lot of nicknames.
Yeah.
Called
Yes.
Double Glue and all that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was always a little bit like I there are plenty of times in this movie that I was it's like feedback coming from somewhere. There's a lot of times in this movie where I wasn't sure what the tone was supposed to be, and I wasn't sure if the tone was trying to mimic the comic book, but then I was like, I think maybe I'm thinking too much into it, and I think it's just the movie being weird. And
Yeah.
it like I don't think that they were trying, like maybe they weren't trying to capture the comic book thing, but I don't know. It was very strange, but it came up a couple
We
of
know they
times.
weren't. David has made it very clear that they were not. So
Now-
he said that they were not trying to mimic the comic book at all. Um, so Constantine basically is being a straight up asshole to Angela, who's coming to his house for help, but he doesn't help her until he sees that the demons are actually after her, and uses her cat Duck to create a ritual to go into hell. Finds Isabel and then brings back her hospital bracelet. It's like, sorry to tell you, she really did kill herself. Um, so is what it is. At the same time, Constantine's friend, Father Hennessy, is so David, you're on theme with the Hennessy.
That wasn't on purpose.
Okay. Father Hennessy.
That
He
was a
wanted
coincidence.
thing to do with the
Father
do,
Hennessy is
do
in the
not
morgue
connect me
and
with
then
this movie.
finds a symbol on Isabel in the morgue, but then is killed by Balthazar later. I don't know if Balthazar kills you with your vices or why this man was killed with alcohol, but he was basically drowned in alcohol. Ugh. So, what is next? I don't know. While I'm looking to see what's next, because I'm trying to go through. I don't know if anybody has anything to say about him being murdered in alcohol or Angela being attacked by demons.
Yeah. So while you're looking that up, real quick.
Yes.
So he's in the morgue, and he pulls his little flask out, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm gonna take a drink," and nothing comes out. But I guess in reality, there's something coming out. And the guard
Yes.
walks in. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Falls to his knees, and in a panic, um, doesn't run for help, doesn't run for John. Something's obviously wrong because he's walking into these liquor stores and he sees this full bottle of liquor and he's like pouring it and nothing's happening. And so he just drinks himself to death. And what? What the
I was
fuck
gonna
was
say
that?
I
What the
didn't get
fuck
that
was that?
part.
That's what I put alcohol.
I don't
Like
know.
question marks. I don't.
Mariah, we can't hear you.
Yeah, you really just sound muffled.
Oh, I couldn't even hear at all.
But yeah, I don't understand why that happened. Um, and
So
then go ahead.
so what I understood is that they did not explain this very well, but Father Hennessy like hears a lot of voices like just on the daily, and so
Yeah.
that's how he does his little newspaper trick where he kind of just like feels through the newspaper, eyes roll back, and then he kind of is looking for not just any murder, but like demony murder, and then he kind of comes up with, oh, this is a demony murder that leads him to Isabel, and when he touches that symbol that we will learn is the symbol of the devil or some probably anyway I forget. Denise probably has it in notes later, but it like cranks up his psychic hearing way past what he can handle, and that's why he's just trying to drink to try and drown out the voices. But at the same time, Balthazar is stalking him, so he doesn't realize he's drinking himself to death. So we have yet another kind of like death by suicide.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't have these notes. I try to have as little of these notes as possible in my phone. I don't want this anywhere near my phone. My Google searches got a little bit too real at certain points. I had to stop googling. As soon as this is over, I'm deleting a lot of this shit. It's not living in my phone. I need to be able to sleep at night. I need to be, you know, I'm not. So, mm-mm. Denise doesn't have it in her notes anywhere.
Okay, that's fair. You have a follow up for that?
No, I got nothing for that.
He was just laughing at me.
Yeah, I was laughing at Denise. Yep.
That's fair.
Constantine and Angela find, as Shauna was saying, a symbol in Hennessy's hand. And then Angela and Constantine go back to Isabel's room. She basically remembers that when they were kids, there was a way, after John basically threatens her, she remembers, yeah, you're right. We did used to talk in a special code. We used to blow fog on the window, write on the windows, and then leave messages. To where she found that her sister had said something about the 17th book of Corinthians. To which she was like, Corinthians doesn't go past book 16. Impressive, because I wouldn't have been able to pull that out of my, from the top of my head. To which John says, oh, but no. The book, the Devil's Bible goes up to 21 books in Corinthians. Why are there secret versions of the Bible out there with extra passages?
Well,
Extended versions. Rhetorical question.
not.
We do not need to get
I'm
into
about to
this.
say we're not going to get into all that, but there are
No.
supposedly books that were left out of the Bible or removed from the Bible. But that's a whole other thing.
I know other. Yeah, we're not going to go into that.
Not a religious podcast. We are not doing the apocryphal text reading of the Bible. However, yeah. But like also, how did the guy who lives behind the bowling alley, under the bowling alley, get that devil Bible?
That's exactly where we are. Beeman is reading the passages from the Devil Bible, telling Constantine, hey, basically what's going on. The devil's son is trying to get back. It is part of a prophecy that he's tired of his dad. He's tired of living under his dad's shadow. He's going to come back and basically be his own man, push his dad to the side, and all of mankind is doomed if that happens. So they realized that they were trying to use Isabel, and now they're going to try to get Angela, since Isabel is no longer available to be able to come back. Isabel tells them that, hey, I also had psychic powers, just like Angela tells him she had psychic powers like Isabel. Isabel embraced hers. Angela did not. So that basically left Isabel out to dry. She threw her under the bus. Um, and yeah, Constantine drowns her, unfortunately, in a bathtub to be able to, so she can go to hell, get a vision, and they find Balthazar.
Can I just another time in this movie that I was like, what are we trying to do? What is the tone of this movie? Because that
so much.
So this is one of those movies that like there's no like big kiss or physical, relationship at the end of the of Constantine and Angela, but they have probably 4, maybe even 5 of those scenes where like he leans in real close and she thinks he's gonna kiss him. So like they're trying to play at this like not flirting. I don't know. It's very strange. Like there's meant to be tension there, but for me, there's not. It's just like this is. Oh, I have secondhand embarrassment. But like before they get into the tub, she like takes her little blazer off, and then it's like, do I need to get like fully naked? And he just kind of like looks her up. Yeah, and then he's like, I'm thinking. And I was like, what tone are we trying to hit? Because this is not flirtatious. I'm confused. Like, is he trying to be funny? Is it trying to be a joke? Is he trying to be romantic? This is another example of like, I don't know what tone this movie was trying to go for. And I don't know if the movie knows.
Yeah. No, they didn't.
It was so weird. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Just me? No.
No, it was not. And another weird thing, Constantine is getting ready to go see Balthazar. And David, I feel like you would know this more than definitely me. I know in the animated versions, Constantine embraced his dark magic. So there was a lot of occult. There's a lot of drawing the pentagrams on the ground and going straight into hell. There was a lot of dark magic. This movie seemed to take Constantine in another direction where he was using a lot of biblical weapons. So when he goes to see Balthazar, he's making a gun out of a cross. He's, melting down the gold relics to make bullets. He has brass knuckles made out of gold relic stuff and has crosses on them. So he has a lot of weapons that are rooted in Christianity. And I don't know if this is part of him trying to get back to heaven to where he's not using dark magic, and this is somebody that's trying to get on that redemption arc, or if this is them just trying to go in a complete different.
This is the movie pushing you in a direction.
Okay.
I mean, in the comic books, he uses magic. It's not necessarily dark magic or light magic. He's a magic user. At one point, he uses holy water to choke the devil out, which is how this whole thing was supposed to have started, with the whole like, oh, the devil would come to the devil would come to earth to get you himself. It's because in the comic books he makes the devil drink holy water, and then like fucking breaks a bottle and slashes his face and like dunks him in a pool of holy water. So the devil, like his claim to John's soul is a claim of hate because of what John did to him. Here,
and
here
also pride, which is like I like that way more.
No. Well, like, I mean, it's a specific claim of embarrassment, because in the and I'm just going to touch this real quick and then we can jump off it. In the comic book, this whole thing of John trying to stay alive, he actually tricks, because in hell technically there are 3 rulers. It's the devil, it's Azazel, and one other one. It might have been Balthazar. But he essentially figures out that once he dies, because he did that to the devil to save his friend, because this whole thing is kind of like a redemption arc for him. When he dies, the devil's going to come and take his soul because of what he did to him. He, like, the devil has a claim on his soul now because he embarrassed him like that, or a claim of injury. And so what John does is say, okay, well, the only way to get out of this is to get the other 2 devils, or the other 2 rulers of hell, and get them to claim my soul also, so that way when I die, they're just gonna fight over my soul. And that's what he does. He brings Azazel up and makes a deal with him for his soul, brings the other one up, who again I think is Balthazar, gets him to get a claim to his soul, and then he slits his wrist, and when he dies, the devil shows up, Zazel shows up, Balazar shows up. They all end up fighting for his soul. They realize they're just gonna fight forever, and heaven's gonna get involved, so they stop fighting. And the devil's like, "Cool, fuck you. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna save your life, and once we figure this shit out, you're coming to hell." It's such an amazing story, and they just threw it in a urinal.
Dang.
Oh yeah. But anyway, that's why the devil wants him.
I'm so happy that you're here for this with this education, though. I had no idea that Constantine was like, I knew it was an adaptation, but I, again, less involved in the original text at that point. But I've also never really delved into Constantine, so having you here to kind of tell us, like, that's awesome. But I also just like the original sin of pride coming up again, like he hurt my pride, I'm embarrassed, and now this is like a very personal thing. Like that's very in line with like mythology and everything. So I love that. That's awesome. The movie is obviously not what we're coming from with that.
No.
Yeah, Mariah's unfortunately having audio issues, but she wants it to be known that is another interesting missing backstory from this movie.
It
totally,
so,
yeah.
Add that to the running list of backstories that should have been included in here. So.
Yeah.
To keep the summary train going, we've got Angela, who does every cliche. John gives her a necklace to protect herself and tells her stay in the car, and she does the exact opposite. She gets out of the car, for some reason takes the necklace off, and then
how did that happen? It's in my notes. I was like,
I don't know, because the necklace was around her neck. She took off her jacket.
Yes, it had that weird like not kiss moment where he like clipped it around her, and she was like ready to like make out, and then she took off the jacket, and the necklace goes with it.
Necklace is gone.
Yeah.
Necklace is gone. All right.
Then Balthazar basically says, it's not you we want, it's her we want. So thanks a lot for bringing her directly to us. And she is swept away. So she has been kidnapped, and John is just standing in the middle of a window looking silly. John goes back to Papa Midnight, who basically says, I need to use the chair. I need to find her. I was thinking the chair was going to be just some cool, like maybe a from a church or something. The chair in question is the electric chair from Sing Sing.
I was like, I don't understand.
So
thank you, David.
in the original, like in Constantine's not origin story, but in his first appearance in the Swamp Thing books, which is also where that bug monster came from. The electric chair is what they used to basically get his friend to summon that bug monster back. His friend was a heroin addict who accidentally unleashed the bug monster during exorcism, which is where they got that whole, demons can't cross over, but this demon wanted to cross over kind of fucking thing. Like it wanted to be exorcised so it could come out, right? So he basically like gets his friend, puts him in the electric chair that Papa Midnight has, and when they do the ritual, bring the demon, the bug monster back, and then the bug monster basically engulfs his friend, kills him, and everything else. So they put it in the movie to say, hey, remember that electric chair? Here it is. We're not going to use it right. So that's what that was.
Yeah, because the other thing that I didn't understand, thank you for explaining that, number one. So it's supposed to be like a little bit of an Easter egg, but out of context, it just is like lost completely. But the other thing I didn't understand is that we've already seen Constantine, like Denise said, with the cat and his little bucket of water, like go to hell. But then Papa Midnight right beforehand looks at him and goes, how long has it been since you surfed? And he's like, it's been a minute or something. And I'm like, how is this different than what we just did? Because it looks like he just goes to hell to find the spear. So I don't understand really exactly the difference, except maybe there was like, he also kind of like time traveled, channeled to see where the spear was. But it looked, everything to me seemed exactly like, oh, this is the spear. I mean, this is the same thing as going to hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
I didn't know if you had more explanation for that, David. It will just remain a mystery.
No,
Well,
I have no more explanations for that.
I think Mariah pointed out another missing another missing backstory is the chair. So again, more context that she felt should have been added to this movie.
Justice
Yeah.
for the
was not added
chair.
to the movie. Yes. So to Shauna's point, while he is under this time, he does use this time to follow Manuel back to the hospital. So that's where he knows Angela is. So him and Chaz, how about call the man
Mm-hmm.
Chad? He and Chaz go to the hospital to try to get Angela back. She has been fully possessed by the son of the devil, and they kind of exercise her. They get the devil out, or so they think. It does that thing where it's kind of like a fake out. It's super peaceful, and then you know something's wrong because it still feels kind of tense, and you find out that he is in her stomach. And as they're trying to get it out a second time, Gabriel, or I think they do get it out, I don't remember. All I know is Gabriel hems up Shia LaBeouf, knocks him around a few times, and he's dead.
Did Gabriel do that, or did Maman do that?
No, I think it was Gabriel.
I think it
Because
was.
at that same time, he was like,
I think it was just invisible
that's
monster.
when John was like, come to the light, and Gabriel came out.
Oh, maybe. It was just invisible in the movie, but
So-
okay.
Yeah,
I could have taken either one.
Somebody killed Shia LaBeouf for no fucking reason. Is the thing. Is the thing there?
Well,
Somebody
it
just
was
murdered
for a
him.
reason. Shia LaBeouf and I don't understand why she didn't kill Constantine, or they didn't
Yeah.
kill
Right.
Constantine the same way they killed Shia. So yeah, Shia LaBeouf gets murdered, and then yeah, John is like come to the light with his little tattoos, and then that's when Gabriel comes out, and you see plot twist: Gabriel is on the bad side. It's a
Yeah.
Mhm.
oh, just me, okay.
No,
Well-
Gabriel is pissed that mankind does not deserve the forgiveness of God, which is a pretty common theme, I think, when we have these types of stories where
I
there's.
was gonna say
they-
I've heard this a
Comes
few
Yeah, but I'm
up.
times.
saying we've all
Yeah.
seen Doc. Wait, we've all seen Dogma, right?
We've all seen Dogma.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mariah,
But yes.
Dogma.
Dogma. No.
Okay.
Wow. David's really going through it tonight.
Got a lot of emotions.
Well, it's not on.
Keep going up and down. It's like this.
Because look, I look. So I love that you brought this up because honestly, David, at one point I was like, "Where is Alanis Morissette with her little boop? That's what I need at the end of this movie."
That's what it reminds me of. Like even down to like the wings being gone, little nubs on the back. It's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
Dogma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, "That's what I need. I need a little boop."
So, like Shauna says, we learn the reason why Gabriel is running around doing these things. They are very upset with humans and God, or humans really. And the idea is that they are just going to unleash hell on earth, and the ones who make it out are the ones who are truly worthy of God's love. So she's just going to make it horrible for us, painful horror, everything like that. And if we come out on top, then we know we deserve it. Constantine basically remembers this one thing, that Lucifer would come to Earth to collect him. So he inflicts harm on himself. Lucifer then drops down, comes into the room, starts to collect him, and he's like, "Hey, your boy's in the other room. He's plotting. Got the spear of destiny. Go get him." To which he goes in the other room, finds him with Gabriel. I know no one else. I'm probably the only one who thought it was pretty cool when he grabs Angela and you see her, but in the reflection you see his son kind of like trying to get away. I thought that was cool. So,
I'm glad
drags
that
his
did it
son
for
back
you.
down to hell. Gabriel tries to punch and sees that they have fallen out of favor with God, loses their heavenly abilities, and Lucifer goes back to collect John, tries to drag him off, and cannot because actually, well, before he does that, he's like, basically, what do you want? Do you want an extension? He goes, no, I just want Isabel back. So Isabel goes to heaven. Lucifer thinks you're crazy. You could have saved yourself, but you saved her. Whatever. Goes to drag him away. Can't drag him away, and basically says the sacrifice, which I immediately thought Hercules. Disney's version of Hercules.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Yeah. Um,
I love it.
so Disney's version of Hercules happens in live action. He can't do it as John is ascending to heaven. He flicks off the devil one last time, and as he's slowly ascending, the devil is like, "No, fuck you." Pulls the ultimate hater move, drags him down from ascending to heaven, cures him of lung cancer, to which I actually found kind of like, I don't want to say pleasing, but I found it kind of weirdly like, I don't know, to see the tumors and everything come out, like the gunk and everything come out. I was like, oh, I don't know. I found it was really weirdly like, I can't think of the word. Anyway, tells him, no, I'm going to cure you. You are absolutely going to live because I know you don't belong in heaven, and I know you're going to fuck up later. So I'm just going to give it time. It'll all play out in the end. And we then find John on the roof after he gives his spear to Angela. Instead of smoking cigarettes, he's popping nicotine gum. And the end of the movie, he goes to Chaz's grave, puts the lighter on top, and we see Chaz fly into heaven.
Oh, is that the
Finn.
deleted scene or the end credit
That's-
scene?
No, that's the end credit
Yeah,
scene.
the end credit
Mhm.
scene is Chaz is
Oh.
an angel now. And
Oh, because
His
I went
ascension into heaven.
to bed.
yeah.
Well, I assume heaven. I don't know. We just saw him fly up in the air.
I
we're
thought,
assuming
like,
that's where-
literally in my notes, though, like, Chaz
No.
is funny. Chaz
No.
is funny to me, though, because literally in the middle of my notes, I go, where the fuck did Chaz go? And then he comes back
Yeah.
just to die. And he was gone for like an hour. I was like, okay, bye, I guess.
Yeah.
He didn't just fly into heaven. They did this overhead shot sweeping down over his face, and he looks up, and I think somebody said this is the coolest shot ever, and it looked
With the contacts, right? I thought that was really weird.
It looked ridiculous. And then he doesn't say
Yeah.
a word to John. John doesn't say a word to him. He just looks at John and then just flies off. And it's honestly, for this movie, it was the perfect way to end this movie.
I know you're saying that with hate. I know you're not saying that in like in a genuine way. You're saying
No,
it like
genuinely, that was the perfect way to end this movie.
Oh, you mean
because you hated it?
I really like.
I mean, hate can be genuine.
I like the end of it.
Yeah.
I liked Lucifer. I liked his performance. Again, it was satisfying. That's the word I'm looking for. It was actually satisfying when he pulled the cancer out of him for me. I don't know why. It was pretty satisfying. Mariah's quick notes for those.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. She is like, wait. Lucifer came for Constantine, then took his son back to hell and saved John's life. He just sent a soul to heaven, which is where I was like, I didn't know he could do that. That's actually kind of crazy. I mean, again, fictional, so whatever. Anyway, Lucifer removed the cancer so that he has another chance to fuck up on Earth, and his soul can't go to hell. Yes, he was a giant hater for that. That was just hate.
And here, what I don't understand about that is, and we're not gonna get. I know we're not digging like way too deep into this, but if the point was you can't get into heaven because you've done that, then God being the one who can dictate who goes to heaven or hell, as he did when Lucifer tried to take John, God wouldn't have accepted Isabel because of what she did. Damn the fact that Lucifer said, okay, whatever, you can have her. The whole reason she was there in the first place is because God didn't want her.
Yeah, he effectively had to pardon her sin, which
right, but
I thought only God had the power to do.
Yeah, that was weird for me. But I mean, like they weren't trying, so I'm not gonna try either. I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah. So an hour later, Denise has finally made it through her summary of the movie.
Yeah.
That was the movie. Yes.
You know what's funny though? Okay, so at the end of the movie, I went to bed. I did not watch the extended scene, so the movie ended for me with the weird, again, almost not quite kiss at the end, where then she just walks off to hide the Spear of Destiny, and maybe they'll see each other around. But then this movie is directed by what's his name, Francis Lawrence,
Mm-hmm.
and he did the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And I liked the Hunger Games adaptations. At the time I didn't. I was too invested in the changes that he made, but like when I did my rewatch, I was like, okay, he did a good job overall. And he's doing the new one that's coming out, the prequel in that same universe. And then I was kind of sad because I was like, again, because kind of what we talked about at the top, like this is not like a good adaptation.
Well,
But he's capable of it. So I was a little confused.
so for me, the difference between something like Hunger Games and this is that, like I said, like I mean, and if you've read enough of Hellblazer, like the entirety of it, you understand that they pulled a lot of different things from, like I said, from before Hellblazer even started. Like they pulled things from Swamp Thing with the possession, because in Swamp Thing it's not um I mean like so John's friend Judith is the one that gets possessed, and she actually dies, and he can't save her. The bug monster ends up, or the bug demon ends up being this like super powerful demon that ends up going back to hell and raising this entire fucking army. And in the movie, it's just something that ends up, kind of getting splattered on a truck and then kills Beeman at some point. So it was like they didn't know what to do with it, because they tried to fit, 4 years worth of comic books into an hour and a half long movie. Where with Hunger Games, they said, okay, you know what? We're gonna go book by book and just make it. And they had a plan. The same thing they did with Marvel. It's like, hey, look, we they didn't start with a plan, but they eventually they got to the point where they said, okay, we need to develop a plan to actually see this through. With Constantine, they were just like, okay, we want to make a Constantine movie. Where do we pull it from?
Mm-hmm.
Well, just take all of Hellblazer, pick out some shit, and try to make a cohesive statement from it, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point, actually. Because
yeah,
at that point, they weren't making long-standing like franchises out of superheroes. They were doing like one-shots versus doing kind of like the YA dystopia. At that point, like Harry Potter was already out, and like they were dumping money into a lot of these
yeah,
YA type of adaptations. So that makes sense to me.
and see,
Thank you for that, because I was so confused.
and for this, all right, no problem. And the weird thing is, so as comic books usually do, one person didn't write the entirety of Hellblazer. So
Mhm.
Right.
the main crux of this movie, um, they pulled from Dangerous Habit, which was written by Garth Ennis, the same guy who wrote The Boys, he wrote Preacher, he wrote Hitman, um, and as graphic and like out of the box as he is with those, he really toned John down a lot from the earlier versions of John, where he is super selfish, and he like, if you even like John a little bit, you end up dead. Like, he will kill you if it means that it's easier for humanity to live. Not even like a certainty, just like to make it easier. A lot of people around him die. He carries a lot of guilt about that. The way
Mm-hmm.
that Garth wrote him in this was almost redemptive. In this story, in the comic book, he's mending a lot of relationships. He actually kills the devil to keep his friend from going to hell. He takes a long look at his own mortality, and that's where he hatches his plan from. So like you get a real different look at John that you don't really get to see in the movie, because again, they just tried to cram all of this into an hour and a half to try to just
Yeah.
sell an IP and not actually tell a story.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. Like there were some times where he would just seem like this really selfish person, or I'm only in this for myself. And then there were times like, to your point, David, I feel like they had to try to make him fit that story arc narrative, where he even said one time basically, oh, he messed up because he's messing with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you have friends? Like it felt weird. I was like, because this entire time you've kind of played a loner and been by yourself, and you I don't know. So he messed up when he messed with my friends. I was like, okay.
I think that kind of goes part and parcel with my confusion about the tone of the movie, because he would do those weird things like use nicknames for demons that were just outlandish, or the I'm thinking in the bathtub scene. Like there were just things that felt like just tonally so off, and I was like, are they trying? I don't know if they're trying to lean into like a comic book characteristic of this character, but they're so inconsistent that it just seems out of place. But it was just tonally, this movie never like settled to me. If they wanted to lean into making him a funny character, that's one thing. Or if they wanted to make him, I think Constantine's a little bit like cocky, but he's also like not sure of himself, and Keanu's Constantine is all it. So he's just, I think this is from like an article that you sent to me. So he's just very one note. So when he strays from that one note, it feels very odd. It's just like, that's not like, what is this? I'm confused.
Yeah. Do not know. I don't know the comic run. I know the animated versions of him. Animated versions of him, he's very like, he's not funny, but he's an asshole. I mean, he has like, he makes his little one-liners. It felt odd anytime Keanu tried to deliver a one-liner in here. It was the tone, like it was just his tone throughout the entire movie. I don't think I didn't laugh at all. I don't think I chuckled or smiled.
I laughed at the cringiness of it. Like it wasn't like a funny thing. It was just like, oh, that's so bad. Oh no. That was my
the only time I think I laughed was when the devil healed him and was like, "No, you're staying here." I was like, "You got that's fuck. That's some serious shit." But I mean, it wasn't like a laugh. I was just like, "Damn." Yeah, I didn't know which direction this movie was trying to go in. I can't say I liked it. It was okay. It's crazy because the plot. I sound like I really would like the story. Like if I read it,
it's a dark detective movie. That's all you.
Exactly. I would love all of that. I love the plot of it. I loved the twist at the end. The tone of the movie threw me completely off.
Help me out.
But on paper, I feel like this should have been a better movie, like visually, and to follow along with than it was.
Detective movie where? What did he detect? Who's the detective? Who did the detecting in this movie? Because in the group chat you called it a who done it, and I'm like, wait a fucking minute, who solved anything? Gabriel, you called it a who done it, but Gabriel came down to beat him up and finish this shit. He didn't draw Gabriel out. She just got sick of it and came down and foot stomped him.
Did I call it a who done it before or after I saw it?
After.
Again, I think I really was just trying to get underneath your skin.
You just called it a detective movie now. I'm just trying to figure out who was detecting.
No, Shauna said detective. I didn't say detective.
You agreed.
Well, that's how I thought, because she is, in fact, by job title, a detective.
Yeah, she's bad.
Angela,
yeah.
Because
that's
like they're in the
like
sister's
Denise's
room.
Vibe.
They're in the sister's room, and John's like, "Hey, look for clues," and she's like, "No."
Yeah, that scene was deeply uncomfortable too. I didn't like that.
Like, what do you know?
Just like,
she's like, "No, I don't know." He's like, "Well, if you're a detective, you could try."
Yeah,
but he also like,
I felt like it should be giving angels and demons like Tom Hanks vibes, right?
Yeah.
And then it felt like I was like, no, this isn't that. Then it's like, okay, maybe a Batman movie. No, it's not that either. I don't really know what this is.
Nobody did.
I like, again, on paper, reading the plot, I was like, this sounds like it should be a really cool movie. The delivery of it.
I think Denise, what I feel like you're trying to drive at is, if they had not tried to base this on a character that was known, and they had just tried to write their own movie and just leave Constantine out of it, they probably would have been better able to execute it, rather than just like shoehorning all this random shit in, like David had said.
Is that where we landed with Black Adam too? I think where we're like, don't try to do it in this way. If you're going to change the story so much, just make it a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Don't very, 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 very loosely base it on this character, and then go so far left that we don't even recognize it anymore.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
make your own story. Yeah.
Speaking of other like incarnations of Constantine, most recently where Constantine came back for me was watching The Sandman on Netflix. That was I really enjoyed that, but Morpheus kind of catches wind that this is it. It's like one of the family members of this dynasty is around London. It's also set in London. Like I can't remember the actress's name, but now the family member is a female, and so she's the new Constantine. But that one felt very well executed to me. But Sandman and Constantine are both under that DC Vertigo umbrella, so it was kind of for me. I was like, oh, I liked to see them Constantine pop up in that. And they seemed to utilize them well, because that was a fight between like Lucifer and Morpheus, and so that blended in beautifully with the character. I thought this one felt like it was a little contrived, probably to Mariah's point, because there was no real backstory for anything. It was just, this is happening in LA. Yeah. We're just here for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just there. Did we kick off spooky season in style? No. What do you think, David?
Oh. You know what I thought. Come on. Come on.
What were you about to say right before I just completely just insulted you like that?
How many times did Shia LaBeouf play the sidekick? Because so it was this, I, Robot, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Am I missing any? Where he was just like an unnecessary sidekick. Like, where the fuck did Shia LaBeouf come from? Like those three, I think.
I feel like I actually don't know. That was off the top of your head. I'm pretty impressed. I feel like he came from Disney Channel, and this was him trying to be a grown up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that was kind of that was like trying to get away from leading kid movies. He ended up being the kid sidekick.
Yeah.
Like
I'm trying not to be that guy, but I'm gonna be that guy because cards on the table. Chaz and Constantine are supposed to be the same age. They grew up together. They've been friends their entire lives.
Yes.
And
this
now,
is not that.
Right. And now Shia LaBeouf is some like 17-year-old cab driver. I don't know what the fuck that is. They don't even make an attempt to explain that relationship. They just turn him into a lackey that really wants to get into this occult stuff. Where in the comic books, he is the exact opposite. He is like, John does a great job of keeping him away from it because he doesn't want him. Like, Chaz is the one person, he's like, look, nothing can happen to you. So you have to stay away from this shit. Mm-hmm. And in the movie, it's just like, oh yeah, man, come on in. Like,
you're my apprentice.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. One thing that I did like about the movie.
Okay.
Rachel Weisz ran around in tennis shoes the whole time. She was not in heels.
We're going to have something real to say.
Look, that is real.
She wasn't in heels, but
the shoes were terrible. They were very ugly, but she wasn't in heels, and I appreciated that.
They had her
close to everything.
They had her soaking wet in a white shirt with a black bra lot for some
reason.
They
sure did. Because 2005, my friend. But they did not have her like what was the Jurassic Park movie where she's literally running away from dinosaurs in like 3-4 inch heels the whole time. Yeah. That always just is like, you're not going to go very far like that. We all know that. We've seen and we've been those women that are like 6 p.m. in heels. You're like, no, I think I'm broken. Like mentally, spiritually, I'm broken from these heels. So if my life depends on it, I'm not keeping them on. So yeah, they had her in tennis shoes, and I appreciated that. That I appreciated. The other thing at first I appreciated too about the possession at the end was
Mhm.
at first they didn't go straight for the pregnancy trope. They had her like face deform, and they're like, okay, so now she's possessed because her face is all deformed. But then I was like, oh, never mind. They did go for the kind of pregnancy trope because then the devil's son was trying to burst through her stomach, and I thought,
Through her
well, there we go,
Yep.
there it is. Because they
There it
didn't have to do that. Because the girl at the beginning, there was no like trying to bust through her stomach. That demon was coming through her neck, so they didn't have to. They made a choice. That one I didn't like so much.
Yeah.
Jake,
Keanu
did you
Reeves
like
got some
anything
big
about
ass
it?
hands. Did I like anything about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Did you like anything? Do you? And then I'll think about it.
I liked the end. I liked the end of the movie, the way it ended. I liked everything after coming in to Lucifer leaving. And again, I liked the plot. I liked the general story. I'm not a fan of the delivery of it, but the story itself, if it wasn't a Constantine story, would be a cool story. So I liked a few things from it. Mainly just the last little bit, like Shauna said. Like I was kind of in and out, and then the last like 10-20 minutes of it I was dialed in.
Yeah, I remember. Like I was like by the time I was like, I remember the whole third act. I don't know why I don't remember anything else.
I don't remember the whole third act. There were some parts that, like the part where he walked into the room for the demons, he was like, "Hi, I'm John." I was like, okay.
That's again those weird one-liners. I was like, where is this coming from?
I don't
I'm
know.
so confused
Yeah,
because he acts like hell. All of hell knows him the entire time.
they probably do, but I just that's not a very kick-ass line to say when you walk into a room full of demons you're about to murder.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I okay,
Not
so
even Tilda as Gabriel.
I was about to say, I mean, everything I have is sexually charged. I really enjoyed it
Oh gosh. Okay.
when her foot, like when she was barefoot and her foot was on his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. Um,
Okay.
Gavin is a beautiful man,
He is.
and
Was this
up
the movie he
until
acted in?
no,
I think
he's acting in a lot of stuff.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Go figure.
I'm gonna look that up.
I know he wasn't he in Spring Breakers? He was in something else. Hold on. Talk about something else. I'm gonna look up Gavin Rosdale now.
Well, I mean, once we wrap this up, I have a little. Of course, I'm gonna end it off with a little fun. But he's 57 years old.
Gavin Rossdale?
Yeah.
Oh, he was in Mallrats. He was in Bling Ring. He was in Tank Girl, The Jackal.
Criminal Minds.
Oh,
How to
Tank
Rob a Bank,
Girl.
An
We should do
American
Tank
Werewolf
Girl.
in Paris.
That was fun.
I remember him in American Wolf in Paris. Yeah, I do not remember him in Tank
Wow.
Girl. Who was he in Tank Girl?
I don't remember him in Tank Girl either. Maybe he was one of the the kangaroos. God,
He did.
Tank Girl's so fun.
He did at least one episode of Criminal Minds. Yeah.
And Mariah, you had nothing specific to
She
call out
rates
for
it
what you
two
loved
and a
it.
half out of 5 cigarettes.
It's a pretty good system.
That is a great system.
That's a good system.
Yeah. I'm a rated a nicotine patch. I mean, what is
Ooh.
this is the opposite of a cigarette? Yeah.
Maybe just the butt of the cigarette.
Just one nicotine batch.
What are those pills they give you to keep you from smoking? That give you like we were in Iraq and they give us pills to keep us from smoking. They give us nightmares like a motherfucker. Those pills. That's what it was.
Shauna's face.
What in the world?
Shauna was like, "You can't."
It was
guys."
terrible. Oh man.
What?
I man, I was searching like because I don't like just being wholly negative, but God, this was such a bad movie.
I'm still on these pills they gave you. I'm so good. I am flabbergasted.
I know
What
Shauna's
is
mind.
this?
Well,
Shauna's
well,
still back
they-
in Iraq.
They were legitimately supposed to help you quit smoking. Like they gave them to us as part of the smoking cessation thing, but then they stopped giving them to us because it was Anyway, I did not enjoy it. But realistically, I would say I would give it.
A nicotine patch.
I mean, 2 cigarettes if we had to go on the cigarette scale. We're doing out of 5 or out of 10.
out of 5.
Mariah set the scale at 5.
Mariah set it out of 5. She's two
Half
and
a,
a half.
half a cigarette.
Half a cigarette.
Yeah,
You just gave it 2, and now you're bumping it down to
because
half.
I thought it was 2 out of 10.
Oh, the scale changed.
But if it's out of 5, then I say half. But like half,
feel like
but you're drunk and you lit the cigarette backwards, so you lit the filter and you're smoking the nick. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna say a 3. It wasn't that bad.
Mariah said
Not
just a
that bad.
cigarette, but
Yep. Yeah. I think I'm gonna kind of reiterate what I said at the top, which is at the time in 2005,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have gone more of like a 3 cigarettes out of 5.
Okay.
My expectations have changed, and watching this back, I was like, oof. So, that yeah, it's different. Nearly 20 years later, superhero adaptations have changed for the better. My expectations, I think, have been formed by that. And yeah, this is now like a 1, and I'm giving it the 1 because of the chuckles I got, but the cringy chuckles. So it's not like I was not the
Yeah.
good chuckles.
See,
Yeah.
I did the exact opposite. I thought of it with a 2005 brain. I didn't go into this with a 2023 brain. I was
Well,
like,
I gave it. I rated both. 3 if I was in 2005.
Okay.
Shauna says 3 cigarettes.
yes.
To 2023, Shauna says 1 cigarette.
Okay.
Because they're
that makes-
different. They're different. That's why at the beginning too, when you were like, "Oh yeah, the internet says they like it," I was like, "What are these articles dated?" Because I think that's a big. Like I was actually, because one of the articles that you sent was from 2005 and updated in 2019, and I went,
Yeah.
"Okay, so the
Yeah.
internet was something that people were posting on and reviewing on at this time. They're like, it's 2005." People are starting to use the internet this way. It's not widely used. So I was kind of surprised to see articles from 2005, not widely used for this purpose. I mean, it was still a lot of like chat rooms and weird shit that we're going to lock deep in our core memories.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was interesting to see the articles from 2005. And I think that viewing them through those 2 different lenses is probably the most interesting thing about this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And David's commentary on the actual comic book source material that I did not know about. And that was very educational. So I'm very happy that you chose to be here, even if you hated most of it.
If I didn't know anything about the comic, I would agree that maybe I could see it being a 3. If I didn't know anything about the comic book, I would say
Right.
I'd be okay with
Like
it.
my only frame of reference for Constantine is the animated movies.
Right. And the animated movies, they did an interpretation of this.
Of Hellblazer?
There is an adaptation. It's on Max right now, where he gets all 3 demons there to fight over his soul, and he does it as like he tricks them into doing it to do something else. And even though it's not a direct adaptation, they did such a better job.
Is that the haunted house one? Because I feel like that's the only one I haven't
It
seen.
is, yes, it is a haunted house one.
Okay, so
Because
that would make sense.
he's
That's the
trapped
one
and
I
he's trying to
haven't
get
seen.
out. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, yes. I haven't seen that one. I've seen the other ones. Okay. Well, if that's all we have, I have one little fun exercise before we wrap up.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So my favorite part of this movie, as we talked about, not in life in general, just of this movie, and I really want to make that clear, is the portrayal of Lucifer in this movie. So I have found
Real
7.
quick. What was that tongue thing he was doing?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That was weird. That was weird. And maybe it was meant to be like freaky because he would like flick his tongue like he was like I'm not going to do it.
Like,
we're live. I'm not going to do it. But
No.
he was flicking his tongue and being all
know.
creepy.
I think it was supposed to be like snake-like.
Yeah, that was the
serpent.
wrong kind of sexual energy.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
I have 7 fictional versions of Lucifer throughout TV and films, and you are going to blind rank them without knowing which Lucifer is coming next.
Hmm.
So we've got 7 Lucifers, blind rank without knowing which one's coming next. And we're going to
Okay.
start with the Lucifer that we just saw, which was Peter and Constantine. Rank 1 through 7, 1 being best, 7 being bottom of this list.
7.
Where would you rank blindly this Peter without
7.
knowing which other ones are coming next?
Yeah, like I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna fall into the
7.
trap of leaving my bottom slot open. So I'm gonna go 6. And I was looking around for like a pen or something so I can keep track. But I'm gonna go 6.
I'm pretty
Mariah says
confident.
7.
I'm pretty
Actually,
confident.
I'm gonna put my answer in the chat so you can all hold me accountable.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
David,
Okay.
what did you say?
I said 7 emphatically.
Mariah said 7 too. So
There we go.
Shauna, I feel like you've been outvoted.
Or are we doing it like a collective ranking?
I think so, because I'm just taking one answer, one from everybody.
Oh, okay.
So for the group. So we're gonna say Peter is at 7. Next, him from the Powderpuff Girls. Powerpuff.
Oh,
Powderpuff
3.
Girls.
oh,
Powerpuff.
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 My kid loves Powerpuff Girls right now, and like grade 8 Shauna is so happy for her. Yeah, I'm gonna say
Mariah says
1.
4.
1. Her is so iconic. Sorry, him is so iconic.
I'm gonna say 3 only because I know there are 2 above them, but I don't know if they're gonna be on this list, so I gotta save room.
I don't know what the average is for those. Is the average of these 3?
Don't
1,
look at me.
4,
I
and
don't
3.
do the numbers.
Girl, I don't do math either. What's that?
Go with your heart,
7
Denise.
divided by 3. Listen, this is too much math. Let's just put it number 3. We're gonna say him is at number 3.
Okay.
Next, Lucifer from South Park.
Haha, 2. That was one
Keep
of the
in
ones.
mind, he was not bad. He was bisexual, had a son.
Why was that the bridge?
I don't know.
He's not
As
bad.
I'm
He's
talking, I'm like,
bisexual.
he was in love with the movie. But he was the humanitarian version.
I'm gonna put him at a 3. Just I do like the energy on that one.
So number
the
3
sass.
is taken by him. So he can either be 2 or 4.
I guess we'll go with David's 2 then.
Okay. Lucifer number 2. Okay. Elizabeth Hurley, Bedazzled.
6.
Yeah, I'm good with 6.
Okay.
I believe Mariah was nodding.
Okay.
Oh, as she
She's
points
nodding,
out
okay.
correctly, Constantine was also bisexual.
I feel like anytime you're dealing, like if you're doing it right, anytime you're dealing with like angels and demons, there's a lot of like either asexuality or pansexuality. I think that's why Tilda really worked in this movie. That's my opinion. Like angels are beyond our spectrum. So are demons, I suppose.
Gwendolyn Christie, Sandman.
I really liked her in that role.
4.
Mariah says number 5. Shauna says number 1.
Okay, well, I'm outranked.
You have 1, 4, and 5 left.
4 then.
4. David?
I'll say
You said
4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mariah's outraged. She thinks it's too high.
She thinks it's too high. I mean, okay.
We only have, we only have
1,
spots
4,
1,
and
4, and 5 left.
So
After this, you have 2 more.
And you want to wait? Mariah? Did you watch Sandman? Well, then
Well, we're doing collective ranking.
we're doing collective rankings.
Okay.
So we have 1, 4, and 5.
Oh, Mariah's like, no, I'm not playing by Denise's rules. I have my own ranking,
Yeah,
and I will not stray.
She's playing her own game right now.
All right, so we're gonna put Gwen where number? Did you guys have her at 1, 4, or 5?
I had her at 4, right?
I will concede to 4, but I really liked her.
I really liked her, but I'm holding number 1, hoping that Denise gets this right.
Okay.
Now I feel pressure. Al Pacino, Devil's Advocate.
haven't seen it.
5. I'm good with 5.
Or if
I
I've seen
didn't
it, it
like
was
him.
been a long time. Wasn't that another Keanu?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
He was the son. Sean, are you okay with number 5, Al Pacino, Devil's
Yeah.
Advocate?
I have no feelings about that. Slot him in.
All right. And David, you are hoping I got this right. So do you want to take a guess at who is left
It's a
for the
lot of
number 1
pressure.
slot?
Please tell me it's the robot devil from Futurama.
I thought about him, but no.
This whole
Ned
thing's been.
Flanders. Treehouse of Horrors.
Okay. Oh, I'm okay. I'm still good with that then. Yeah, 1. Okay.
Yeah, Ned
I'm good with
Flanders.
that.
Treehouse of Horrors is your
It-
number
it's-
one.
it's
Is your
a-
number 1 devil.
I was holding
Okay.
out for Robo Devil from Futurama,
I
but
thought about Robo Devil, but I didn't want to put too many animated people in here, so I switched him out for Gwen. So
fair.
your blind ranking: number 1, we got Ned. Number 2, we have Lucifer from South Park. Number 3, we have him from Powerpuff Girls. 4, Gwen from Sandman. 5, Al Pacino. 6, Elizabeth Hurley, and 7, Peter from Constantine.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Or I
a
don't
lot
know
of
what your list
regret.
looked like.
Mariah had her own ranking.
She did. She had her own.
She'll post to social media and say this is the Mariah version. From the vault, Mariah's version.
so okay. So wait, what did we rank him again?
Number 1 was Ned Flanders. Number 2, Lucifer from South Park. Number 3, him from Powerpuff Girls. 4, Gwen from Sandman. 5, Al Pacino. 6, Elizabeth Hurley. 7 was Peter from Constantine.
I would switch Gwen and Lucifer if I could do it again. Gwen and Lucifer from South Park, I would switch and make her number 2.
Well, that's not how blind rankings work, but
I know. I'm just saying that's my without Robo Satan being here. That's my only regret.
yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
she's
about the episode where him and
good.
where him and Frost was.
Yeah, he's like, and yet hell, it's like my hands are so cold, and you hear out of nowhere, like, and yet hell is so hot. He was a good
All
guy.
right, well, we kicked off spooky season, I think, in style. I know no one else agrees with me, least of all David. I don't know if we want to say what we're doing next, or if someone else wants to pick a different movie. We were going to keep the dark Keanu train going with Dracula, but again, someone else can pick the movie if someone else wants to pick the movie.
Wait, Bram Stoker's Dracula?
yeah.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it but it's like what, from like 1992? We're doing some deep cuts.
Oh god.
Man. Oh man. I'll watch it again.
Mariah says too much pressure. If we
That's
want,
a
we can
lot.
wait and choose.
That's a lot of pressure, man.
Okay. I mean, we can. That will be the fun. And
I mean,
what we come up with next, but
it's Brad Pitt in a wig, so I mean, I'm kind of with that.
Brad Pitt's in that movie.
Brad Pitt's in it. Keanu Reeves is in it. They're both vampire. It's. I mean, I'm good with that one.
I thought Brad Pitt was Interview with a Vampire. He's in this.
Oh
one too.
yeah, no, is that Interview with a Vampire?
Yeah, Brad Pitt is
Yeah.
Interview with a Vampire, which we could
Yeah.
also do. I'm not opposed, but
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it
we'll
out.
figure it
Yeah.
out.
We'll figure it out. All right.
Seems like there'll be
Mariah
something with
is muted,
vampires.
so she can't. What?
I said it seems like it's gonna be something with vampires.
Vampires, demons, hell. This is it. This is the spooky season.
Just not too scary.
Just
'Cause I don't like scary, and Mariah doesn't like too scary. So
And I don't like
Sounds
too
good.
gory. So yeah, we have a very
like story. Can't do scary.
Okay.
Anyway, Mariah can't sign this out because she's on mute. I don't know if anybody else wants to take a crack at it.
Oh, I can take a shot. Follow us on our social medias that Mariah so dutifully runs. You can find us streaming live from time to time. You can stream us live. We're streaming right now on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook Live, I believe. Mariah's giving me the nod, so far so good. Check our social to find out when we are committed to streaming live. And join us as we work through audio problems and everything.
Bear with us as we work through audio power.
Join in the behind the scenes fun. If you ask us questions live, we will answer them live. Check our socials. So again, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and all of those other places that you would like to follow us on at The Spirited Nerds. Also, we would love your ratings, your rankings, whatever platform you're listening to us on. Leave us some stars. Leave us some suggestions. Like if you actually have something that you feel very strongly that we should cover for Halloween and spooky season, we will do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can get all of these people to do the Lord of the Rings, I truly believe anything is possible at this point. So,
Can I just say,
except maybe Twilight. I think we've nixed Twilight.
Yeah,
I think we've drawn the line.
Which, for the record, I would have done.
Just to touch on the Lord of the Rings thing real quick. Why hand her the Spear of Destiny? Why not destroy it? Similar to the ring, take it to Mount Mordor, throw it off over the edge, get rid of it. It should never fall into humans' hands again.
This is a great point. Great point. I'm so
David,
see.
I'm sorry.
What a great touch point
Hey,
Lord of the Rings is for you.
You gotta have rainy days to appreciate the sun, right? So.
All right. Well, you know what? On that note, we are officially going to say goodbye. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time, and go birds.
Go birds.